Good morning, everyone, and welcome on into ClayShareCon 2024. We are starting off day 3. Can you believe we're already on the 3rd day? I don't even know how it's gone by, it's gone by so fast. How is this even possible? So we've got a full lineup ahead of us for today, and we of course have all day tomorrow too. Everything that we're going to be doing today, all the presenters and broadcasts and tutorials, will be recorded so that you can go back and watch them later after the live ends. So don't worry about it. You'll be able to go and watch it. If you missed the last 2 days prior to today, that's okay. It's recorded. You can catch up. But today, try to catch the lives. That's your best chance to ask questions and be a part of this whole ClayShareCon experience. So this morning we have Melanie Koffel from Ceramipix, and she is going to show you how decals can when brushes can't. So let's go on over to Melanie and see what she's got to share with us today. Hey, Melanie, how you doing today?
Hey, Jess, good morning. Happy Friday.
I know, Friday, right?
Friday is no kidding. So we've got fun stuff to show. I'm going to pop a ring light on just so you can see my workspace, and it's going to blow out my face. Look at me knowing video terms. So here we go. All right. So we have a pretty seahorse here on this plate. And I don't know about you all, but the notion of tracing every one of those silly little lines and coloring it in and touching it up makes my head spin. I know I've had customers who love that kind of work. I'm not one of them. So I needed to come up with a project that shows you how to avoid all that, what some of us in the industry used to call itty bitty shitty, but you need to keep that out, Kevin. You go right ahead. So the way we start this project. All right, so say bye to our seahorse. Maybe it'll come back later. Is we are going to start this bad boy with a mask. And that is my mask, and it's a piece of cut vinyl. And I love vinyl for masking because everything stays in place and it gives you a nice sharp line. So I'm not going to do what the Cricut masters all do, which is use the transfer tape. I'm just going to peel this off. There we go. I just cut off his tail because that's the kind of day we're having. But that's all right. This is not an insurmountable challenge.
Well, that's the great thing about decals, though, and using these products. If you cut it off, you can just line it right back up.
There we go. All of this is doing is creating my seahorse outline. And I'm going to run my finger around the edge, make sure there's no errant little bubbles, and we are good. So on my sample plate, we are going to work on putting on this background and adding in our seagrass. And then we'll deal with all the beautiful that is the seahorse. We should name the seahorse.
Ooh.
We should name the seahorse. I'll maybe our audience would like recommendations of the seahorse.
Oh. You guys want to chime in? What would you name a seahorse if you had one?
That seahorse. So our first step, now that we've got the vinyl down, is I like to put down a base coat of some glaze. This is sort of an optional step because you could clear glaze everything at the end. One of my little quirks is if I can avoid clear glazing, I'm going to. So I'm throwing down a coat of white foundations, and I will make these instructions available to everybody after the live. So I have it all written down. Don't panic if you don't get all the notes. You don't have to copy from a classmate. I'll make sure you have them. All right.
Thank you.
So that is my ever so precise version of a glazed background. So bye-bye white foundations. Now I'm going to do my blues and greens, and a prepared instructor would have a sponge handy. I don't. So we're going to make do as we do. So I'm starting with some sour apple, Mako S Stroke and Coat number 27. And I'm going around the seahorse with the greenish tone first. Ta-da. This is not the project later you can come in if you like the fine detail work. Bless your heart. That has not been my style ever since I got into this business a good while ago.
Oh, the name. Everybody likes Winnie, Seymour, Mystic, Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed.
Sally, Harvey,
I'm loving this. Oh, we might have to put this up for a vote on Ceramic Picks Instagram. So
we might have to do that.
I think we might. And there,
we got another vote, another Seymour and a Cedric. So we've got
Seymour, Cedric. Oh, maybe we could string along half a dozen names and make it really sound.
Have a hyphen name.
Multiple hyphen, but Seymour, Cedric, Winston the Fourth.
Ooh, yes. That sounds something like that for a little seahorse.
All right. So now we got a background. Look at that. How lickety split. So, and now we know we can use a terry cloth rag when our sponge has gone missing. Bonus. You didn't even know you were going to learn that today. Now, my original Seymour, Cedric III.
Oh, I think he got his name right there.
Right. So here we have some additional bubbles that I stamped on using, what do you stamp bubbles with? Bubble wrap. So we need to dispense a little dark blue. And when you're stamping, I have learned over the years that life gets much easier. If I were to stamp right into that puddle, I would get blobs. I don't want blobs. So I'm going to just stretch that out. In my studio, I used to do this on the tabletop. Absolutely horrified the parents in the group. Like, no, this washes off nicely. So now that it's thinned, I've picked up some on my bubble wrap. And now I can just, that one was kind of blobby. Doesn't really matter. This is underwater. None of this is precise. I just wanted a little pop of extra color in there. If that's not your jam, feel free to ignore it. So the last step of color work at this stage is our seagrass. You may not want seagrass on yours. That's okay. You might be able to tell I drive the type A's in the world crazy. Is this right? Maybe. Does this look okay? Sure. So if you're that kind of person I'm sorry. Let me apologize now. So I'm just creating these very randomly. Think about seagrass floating in the ocean. Maybe it's a kelp bed. Maybe it's who knows what. But we have a whole lot to work with here, and we don't have to be precise. And then after my greenish color, I can come back with I'm using a little bit of dark blue. If I had a darker green, I might use that. So the color choices here are really open and up to you. What we want to look for is contrast between our background and our image, which is why I kept the lighter color around the seahorse. So the beautiful colors we come up with later will shine. That's our goal. So now we're going to get rid of the mask. Use a pin tool, use a toothpick. In my case, it's my fingernail because I don't have a super fussy image to protect. So if I scratched my spongy area a little bit, we can go back and fix it later. Well, look at that. What do we have? A bright white seahorse shape. Okay.
I love it.
Don't we love it? So now we have a couple of choices. Let's come back to our original. you see there are tons of black lines in this design. Just in a half-inch section, I can count off 6 different sections, and I'm not coloring all of those in. I do want to give myself a little bit of guideline. So I have created, gosh, can't say the magic of television, but we know what we've got here. I have the identical image printed on a clay carbon paper. So for those of you who have not heard of clay carbon, it is receipt paper, basically. It's carbonless. Those of us of a certain age remember the black tissue paper coated with a black waxy coating that created a duplicate. Or if you heard in the old movies, Miss Smith typed this up in triplicate.
I know,
So I
it
like
just
to line
astounds me
up the
people
little
don't know
horns
about
up here.
carbon paper.
Right. And the tail down here. And running my finger, I can feel the difference in height where color is versus where color isn't. That is about as precise as I'm going to get. And so I'm not going to belabor tracing every last line in this, even though it is fewer than the finished design. But I will show you how I'm going to pick out a couple of areas, like the stripes on the belly. And this is just giving me some guidelines, okay? I am not trying to get super precise. So I am laying down just some stripes. If this were just me, my own time, I would go through all of this. But in respect of your time and the lack of visual interest in watching somebody trace, I'm minimizing. Something also, I am not bothering tracing this outer edge of any of it, because as you can see, that outline more or less exists through the difference in color. So, all right. Fast forward, I have traced as many lines as I am interested in tracing. And here is my color palette that I'm going to use to fill in this seahorse. I'm using Pinkaboo, Blue Yonder, Sunkissed, Grapeful, Orange Appeal. My list says Hot Tamale, but I chose not to add any. Caribbean Blue and Sour Apple. Again, these are all listed on the instructions. This pour of these colors is probably enough to do 3 seahorses. So I was being inconsistent on my, where if I were teaching this, I'd say pour out about the size of an M&M. All right, so now I'm gonna get a finer brush, which was the same brush I was using before, but you want it on the small side. If you're really good with keeping your brush on the tip, you could probably get away with a 6 round, but I'd go smaller, even down to a 10-aught liner. And so I'm going to focus on getting the face pink, because I wanted my face to be pink. You might want yours to be blue or green. The colors I chose are lighter. I wouldn't be putting a ton of deep, dark stuff down because we're going to have a black outline at the end and we want that contrast to be visible. So I put some pink on the face and I deliberately picked out these stripy parts to be yellow. So I'm doing I am doing a drop and fill method, meaning I load up my brush, I touch it on the project, and I kind of let that color flow off, much like a pen does. We're letting gravity help us out. I don't need these colors to be smooth. I don't need them to be particularly even, because there's going to be a lot of them. And we are going to use that feature to our favor, to our advantage. So I know I wanted these outer stripes to highlight in yellow, because I've spent a lot of time looking at this seahorse. And I've made these decisions. You are definitely going to choose different colors, and you're going to want to take your time to plan it. Just please don't overthink it. And I know for some of us in the audience, me included, not overthinking is hard. But this is you have my permission. You have my permission to be sloppy with it, go easy with it. I'm going to put some yellow up here on the snoot. Shall we boop the snoot? I think we should.
Gotta boop your seahorse's snoot.
Gonna boop the seahorse's snoot. That's right. I was teaching my great niece that phrase last night. She wanted to FaceTime. I said, "Show me your nose." She's 3. Can you boop your snoot? She thought that was pretty funny. Now, I got this. I'm trying to fill in the rest of this white space. Now we get to have some fun. I'm going to do some color pairing. Look at that. I'm making some people really nervous. I just slid my brush through 2 colors. And I don't know if you can see. Can you see the swirl on the palette? We're going to have the swirl show up here. I'm laying that down. And look at that. I've got some yellow and orange swirled together. What else can I combo? Let's do some blue and some green. These are the background colors, but I'm going to bring them back in here. And I'm going to plop some down. Not enough blue? Bring some in. They're not even. What's that? Melanie, they're not even. I don't care. And I know some of you are you're cheering me on, and others of you are reaching for the antacids, for which
it'll all work out in the end, everyone, I promise.
It does. That's the glorious thing. This is all about color and fun and not being an itty-bitty fussy pain in the patootie. So your goal is to fill this whole space. And you want it to be, well, we can keep going. Pick up some yellow and pink down here. I remember my very first Mako pottery camp. Wonderful lady named Carolyn Ross was teaching this, and she was teaching a similar project where we did color flooding, where we dumped a bunch of color. And I figured out that if you dragged one color into another like cake frosting, they would stay that way. Ding, ding, ding. Wow, I thought that was fabulous. So any little cheat I can find and carry on to something else, I am all about it. I feel like I'm rambling. Am I ignoring anybody's questions?
No, you're good. And Everybody loves this information. So keep going.
I'm going to keep going. And when y'all are sick of me, you say so. And Kevin can cut off my mic.
No, you're good. You're good.
All righty. So we are and again, had I taken the time to bore you with outlining more sections, there would be a little more organization to this application. And if that makes you happy in your design world, you do that.
So I'm just going to remind everybody that Melanie owns Ceramipix, Ceramipix, and she does custom decals. And you do have some stock decals as well, correct?
Oh, my stock collection keeps getting bigger and bigger. So if you just want a generic design, I had a lady at a show say, "Hey, you have any shamrocks?" Huh? No, I don't. What can we do about that? I'll add, and I added shamrocks.
Yeah. So the seahorse.
If it's a shape or something, just a ubiquitous design thing, like a certain kind of daisy or roses, if I can add it to my stock collection and sell it to the rest of the world, I charge you a stock price. How cool is that? When it's a custom thing like your family photos or your grandmother's recipe, then, nobody else is going to want to buy that. I charge that at a custom price. And those prices are on ceramipix.com. I had a lady just yesterday ask me about a lighthouse. So I sent her some options of lighthouses that I could add. And so happy to do that for you as well. And of course, if you want the custom, like you want Nana's banana bread recipe, and you want to put that in the bottom of a baking dish, we can make that decal for you. You can see samples of that online. And if I have one within reach, I'd show it to you, but I don't think we're going to be that lucky, but that's okay.
But you also did a demo with us last year, which people can go back and watch, and you shared a bunch of finished pieces in that too.
Oh, that's right, I did.
And so folks can see that.
So I was thinking about last year's demo when I was working on an elephant.
Yes.
And everybody really liked the elephant,
Yes.
and they liked the elephant art, and that elephant art is available on my site, but I've got that elephant finished, and it's sitting right next to me. So was anybody online for last year's demo?
I was. It was great.
I know Jess was.
So Melanie makes decals. She doesn't just sell, you don't sell the paper, you just sell the decals made.
I sell the decals ready to go. Basically, you send me an image or photo, I send you a decal.
You don't have to get paper.
Is
You
different.
just, yep.
It's so if you've used the old school decals by Olympic and other companies, mine are a little bit different. They fire a little bit hotter. They fire to an 012 as opposed to an 017 or 018. They're a little more brittle, so you want to handle them gently. But the color, it comes through nice and rich, and I can help you get the, maybe your photo just needs to be cropped in a certain way to get you the maximum benefit, and I can help you with, small edits like that. I'm not a Photoshop restoration expert by any means, so sometimes you just got to ask the young folks in your family to help you with those issues. But when in doubt, feel free to send me a picture, ask me if it'll work, and I am glad to help you figure it out.
And folks, those of you who make, pottery to sell, if you ever get an order for a line of mugs or dishes from a company that wants their logo on it, Melanie can help you. You can send that company's logo to her, and she can make the decals so you can get the logo exactly like the company wants.
Right. Exactly.
And it
right
makes the customer happy. And it's easy to do for you. It's less work, and it's more cost effective for you and your bottom line. So if you're making pottery for a living, she can really help you with your costs, so that you can you can save, and you can pass that along to your customers, so you can have more customers and do more business.
Exactly. And it takes away that time consuming outline work, which, we can all get lost in and enjoy, but when time is money and you've got to get the things made, we can make sure you get the right sharp line every time. And I think you'll find it worth it in many cases to use a decal instead of your brush. So brush, photographs is one way. Decals will help you, and things that you got to do fussy little brush work, and lettering, consistent lettering. And so many logos are words, and we want those words to be sharp and clean each time. Okay, so I am basically filled in all of my seahorse. And I'm going to call this done for right now. So we're going to say goodbye to this plate. And we're going to bring in, through the magic of video, then you fire it. So after I added all those colors, I will have made sure I've got white or clear glaze in all the places that need it. In this area, just for security, I probably would have slapped on just a light coat of clear, just to make sure everything's all sealed. And of course, I would have done the back of the plate as well. We're not going to look at the back of this plate because that would be a little embarrassing.
So this is after it's been glaze fired.
This has been through the kiln at 06. Now, so if you work in the mid-range stoneware world, you fire to that temperature, whatever is required. If you're a porcelain artist, do that temperature. So you want to end up, before you do a decal, you want to end up with a glazed and fired thing. So that's what we have in front of us. Now we're going to do the decal portion. And the decal, it escaped to my floor. when you receive it, it's going to look like this. See that weird green color? That's a lamination that holds the color in place as you put the color / decal onto your work. So sometimes my vendor sends me green lamination. Sometimes they send me yellow. Who knows what they'll send me next time? So I'm going to put some warm water in here. It will work with room temperature. It does just a little better if the water's warm. So I prepped some ahead of time. And I put it, I know Stanley thermoses are all the rage right now. This is an OG Stanley that's probably 30 years old. All right, now I have my warm water. I submerge my decal. It's gonna wanna curl up. And I let it rest in there for a moment. If you walk away and totally forget about it, it will separate from the paper and float to the top. That's not our goal, but that's not a bad thing. So I'm looking for that moment when I can move that decal off its backing. And I'm not sure if you can tell on camera if that happens, so you'll trust me when I say it is happening. All right. We are done with the water.
So folks want to know if that seahorse decal is available.
It will be.
It will be. And I know you're showing a line, like a black line decal, but you have full color decals as well.
I do have full color decals, and we will show some of them here in a minute. So I'm going to slide this decal off. I'm pulling the paper backing out from under. Okay. Now that is a discard. Because the paper, the decal is wet, I can now ever so carefully, and it's really not that hard because the vinyl was cut from the same file as this seahorse. That was very on purpose. And I'm hoping to put together a line of these sort of kits available. So
that would be great. Yes. Yes. I'm going to tell you, yes, okay. For everybody. Everybody yes. I know, because they want the vinyl, so you could get the vinyl mask and then the decal that matches. Yes.
Okay.
I answered for you all, everybody.
Thank you, Jess. I love an enthusiastic response. So now I've got the decal in place, and so let's take a moment and admire once again all of that black line work that we did not have to put down ourselves. Makes me smile. Now, I take a squeegee. Anything soft and flexible is good. Actually, what's a good first step is a brayer. If you don't have this, it's okay. But we start in the middle of our decal and we push the water out. And you will be amazed at how much water gets under one of these decals. So I do a few rounds with the brayer. It's rubber. I even have a 2-inch one that I will sometimes use. If you don't have a brayer, but you want to roll it, guess what else works? A nice round bottle of color. Stay away from credit cards. Those have a sharp edge, and they are not going to be your friend. So once I get that round of water out, I take a cloth and I blot it off. I want that water gone. All right, so that was round one. Now I come back with something soft and flexible. This is available on my website as I try to line it up so you can see ceramic picks. It's plastic, a rubber rib. I've used the Kemper rubber rib a lot of times for this. It works great. So just with a little firm pressure, and we drag the water out. And I want you to, I like to turn the thing and work it towards me. And I tip my plate in the light so I can see the stripe of water that's going to come out. It will be very visible to you in person, where it might be tough to see on camera. but I am still getting water out. So let's get rid of that. Let's have another go around.
You know what I love about doing decal work is you can do it in your house, at your kitchen table, or in your living room, at your coffee table. In the evenings, You're not in the clay studio. There's no clay at all. It's just
there
water.
There is no clay at all. All
and
you need
scissors
is
and cutting out your decals. Yeah, and your fired pieces. It's brilliant. I just spread everything out on the table, and I can lay everything out, and I do all my decaling in one go. I'll do like a batch of pots through the firing cycle, and it's so fun. You do that for a few evenings, and the next thing you know, you fire them all up, and you got a whole bunch of these fabulous decaled pots.
It is one of the things in the ceramics world that is not messy.
Yeah, I know. And you can do it in your house. I love it.
A little, a few snips of paper scraps. You need a bowl of water. A scrape. Your tools are minimal. The mess is minimal. All right. Believe it or not, I'm still getting I'm getting bits of water out. So I'm going to keep at it. And you think you're done, and then you're not. And that's okay. This is a pesky step that's worth it. Because if you don't get the water out, what happens when you don't get all the water out of your clay? Anybody? You blow a hole, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can blow a hole in your decal too. So take the extra minute or two, because that's what we're really talking about. We're not talking 10 minutes. But if you're impatient like I am, you want it to be done because you're excited and you want to get it in the kiln. So I've lost count how many times I've gone around this piece of art, but it's probably been at least 3. Let's see. Am I really, really done, or am I done for TV? Nope, I think I'm really done. I'm not getting any more. I'm looking here to see if I see a puddle of water, and I'm not seeing it. So now I would set this aside, minimum 6 hours or overnight to dry. So this isn't one I would recommend throwing it straight in the kiln, especially because this decal has some area to it. If you had one about the size of a quarter, sure. Like many tiny things in ceramic work, we can cheat with tiny things, and we can do it wrong, and it's still okay. So I'm setting the plate aside to dry. Does anybody have any application questions?
So no application questions. There was a question about, will the line of the decal show the edge?
That is an excellent question. And the answer is, it depends. In the world of low fire, usually not. This product melts in so nicely into the low fire glazes because its ultimate firing temperature is 1616, which is cone 012. On a porcelain tile, you may see that edge more. So if I were applying this to something porcelain, I would have trimmed my decal much, much closer around the outside. Even now, if I'm second guessing myself at this stage, should I remove some of this extra material? I could go in here with an X-Acto knife and I could cut that line and just pull out what I don't like. Similarly, if you've gotten to this stage and you look and go, oh my goodness, it is not lined up how I want it, you're not sunk. You can rehydrate this. I would just float some water. Well, here, I'll show you. Because you now know what it looks like to go in the kiln. So if I wanted to reposition it, I'm pouring my water back on the plate. And I find a little tool. In this case, it's going to be my pen, but that's okay because the ink burns out. And I catch the edge. And I can pull that right back out. And I can go back and recenter it.
I just want to clarify for folks out there watching, these are not the same decals that you can make at home with your laser printer. These are not the laser printer decals. These are a different type of decal, similar idea as a technique and material, but they are different. So they're not the same.
That's important to recognize. They are similar in their application, meaning you physically apply the product the same way. But that product you're discussing, I've used it many times over, like it very much. It gives you the image via the iron oxide in your printer's toner. My printer doesn't print with toner, as we all know it. My printer prints with ceramic pigment. So imagine I ground up 10,000 underglaze pencils and put it in my printer and printed with that. That's how we're getting that image. So thank you. That's a good distinction. But the application, the float it in water, slide it in place, line it up, get the water out, that's pretty typical of even the old school decals. And I apologize that I'm calling them the old school decals. If anybody has a better phrase for that, I'll be happy to use it. It's so the get it from the paper onto the plate is similar, if not identical. So you saw how easy it was to fix an oops. I was able to pull that image back off. I dumped off the water, put it back on, and in real life, I would redo the process of getting all that water out. Well, you already watched me do that, and that's not a whole lot of fun on video. So we fixed the boo-boo. And because I've got a sharp line and image here, I'm able to line up my colors where I want them and my stripes where they belong. And I get it where I want, and off it goes. And it goes into the kiln, and magically, depending on how big your kiln is, you will come out with this. So all of these lines, all of this little detail that if I wanted to pick it out, I could. I absolutely was not going to do stripe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 stripes just on the head. No, not going to happen in my design world. And for those who find that kind of work relaxing, that's great. But sometimes we want something pretty, and we're not in a position to do that level. And plus, you've got to be a spectacularly good brush artist. And I know y'all are out there. I've met some of you, to get that consistent black line in every single area.
It looks fabulous.
It does.
Yeah, it looks great. We have a question. Is this ink similar to the process like China paint?
No. This is toner that has been modified to feed through a laser printer, just like the one in your office.
Right? To do like an underglaze, right? It's like a ceramic pigment.
Yes, it is an underglaze, and that lamination is the clear glaze, if you will. It's a flux coating. It's lead free, and it's always glossy. Important note: it's always glossy. It can't be anything but. So, I personally like the contrast of gloss over a satin or a matte glaze. So just know that that's what's going to happen. If you work primarily in matte, and you're desperate for a matte decal, call me. I'll see what I can source. But right now, it's gloss all the time. So let's bring back our elephant from last year. Bye-bye, seahorse. Hello,
yeah, so folks are like, it's black, not sepia. Yeah, this is a totally different decal. It's a black decal, not a sepia. These are not ones you can make at home. Melanie has... we talked about this when I did my laser decals. You can buy a laser decal printer and do them at home for $80 to $100. Melanie has invested in professional level equipment that costs thousands and thousands of dollars to make these decals for you. So she is running a company that makes the decals in black or any color you want. She can do sepia tone, but she can also do everything else in full color, every color, the whole thing in color.
Exactly.
That.
So that the sepia toned thing is great for an at-home I've made good use of it over the years, and I got nothing bad to say about it. But when you want color, like a photograph, that is so important to have. You just can't do a full color image with that sepia product. It does not exist that way. Any color with that product has to be added by a brush. So looking at my elephant here, because I remember applying these during our first demo, and I covered the entire thing. I had so much fun doing this. You want to talk about a relaxing evening? It's like decoupage. You know, I just cut the parts out and I stuck them where I thought this elephant needed them. And I even I got some under the trunk.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. So these decals on the elephant, are they on your site?
Yes, this one's called Paisley Elephant because these are actually elephants in the image. And I also have a Paisley mermaid. So this is a full sheet that I cut apart, and I mean, I went down to the tiniest little elements when I got to, that's all I had left. You know, ooh, I can put that there. I can put that there. So my strategy was I started with big things, and I filled out the big areas first, front of the ears, the back of the ears, and then just carried on. So yes, this one is available right now, and feel free to order. And the stock decals sell for $16 a sheet, and the ClayShare code is going to get you free shipping on your order.
That's awesome.
And I
you
did
know,
get that set up in live, so that should be working just fine.
and $16 a sheet goes far. I mean, you do something big, you're going to use a lot of them, but you can do smaller things and just cut them up like the Paisley elephant and do a mug. And I can think you could get 6-7 mugs out of that. You know, just do a few little elements of it, so it can go far.
So that's the price for the stock designs, meaning I can sell that design to anybody. If you're looking to get a custom photo, you know, again, grandma's banana bread, it's $34.95 a sheet for as many images as you can cram on that sheet. Now, if all you need is a business card size image and nothing more, I do have pricing for smaller singles, but your better value is always going to be a full sheet. So if you need a 6x6 and you're not sure what else you want, we can throw your shop logo on there, throw some fun artwork, throw, you know, the family photo that you've been meaning to put on an ornament to send to grandma. So fill it however you can. And that's how and if, you know, again, if you're not sure what you need or what you want, please reach out to me. I am happy to help you figure out how to get from point A to point B. Kind of my superpower.
And folks were asking, yes, you can put luster on top of this. So you could go back in and add, after this decal firing, you could do mother of pearl or gold and fire it again to those temps. And you could really make it sparkle. And you did this elephant last year in ClayShare Con. So those of you who didn't see it, that's available. We recorded that. So you could all go back and watch that.
Exactly. And I wasn't sure how I was going to fill up that elephant until I did. And you can see the variation of color that comes through on this. You know, I purples and pinks, I will tell you, can be twitchy. They like to get dusty. It's like they're stuck in the 80s and they want to be that model.
I kind of like that a bit. There's a little vintagey going on.
There's a little vintagey. So, but I had somebody send me something that looked like the Prince logo, the artist formerly known as Prince, which is a piece of purple art. It is a piece of purple art. It's got nothing else to it. And I had, in that one case, I had to tell her, sorry, a decal is not the answer for you for the purple part. So purple, you're going to have to use a glaze if you wanted that particular purple. So color matching can be a little bit of a challenge, but always ask. And I'll always show you what we're going to achieve compared to what you see on a computer screen. You know, computer screens display in gazillions of colors, and color print like a magazine is maybe half of that, half a gazillion colors. my system functions with a few 100,000, if that's a good analogy. So sometimes we have some color limitations. And many of us remember when you couldn't get a nice bright red in a non-toxic low fire. And we finally got it, and who knows what's coming next. So, but at the moment we have a few limitations.
That's awesome. So we're out of time. It went so fast. But Melanie, thank you. I love your seahorse plate. I love how the elephant turned out from last year. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and being part of ClayShare Con 5th anniversary. Ah, I know. Can you believe it? Thank you. Thank you. We'll have to chat some more, but thanks for being here with us. And anything you want to leave anybody with before we head out?
Just, check out what's available at ceramipix.com. The show code, which I think is ClayShareCon24, to get free shipping on your order. CSO, I was getting all abbreviated.
Ooh,
CSC
look at you,
24,
Caps,
CSC
CSC 2024. And you have an Instagram. It's,
It's
what is your
Ceramipix.
Instagram? Ceramipix. So you can follow Melanie on Instagram and see what she's doing over there. And you can always reach out to her and email her, go to her website to contact her, and she'll be happy to help you with any questions or make a custom decal for you.
Happy to help. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Melanie. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I know it's another day full of ideas, and it's just going to keep going. So this is just the start. And Melanie is amazing. Her decals are so beautiful. The colors are lovely. If you've ever wanted to make your own custom decals, or you have a pattern that you want to see on pottery that's just really hard to get with carving or glazing and you're just not good at that, she can make those decals happen for you. So you definitely want to check out her website. That's ceramipix.com. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. We're going to be back on the hour, and we have, oh my goodness, are you ready? We have Kathy Skaggs coming back with us. I hope you're ready. I'm getting another cup of tea because we're going to need it. It's going to be awesome.